We live in a world of noise. We hear the shouts of anger, the cries of sorrow, and the loud public displays of joy. But what about the quiet moments? The tears that never fall, the unspoken regrets, the hidden aches, the silent, invisible emotions we carry with us every day? What if every unexpressed emotion had a physical form? A thread of grief, a strand of unspoken longing, a filament of silent courage. This is a place for the stories of those threads. We'll explore the hidden moments that define us, the quiet sorrows that make us human, and the magic that happens when a single tear is finally given form. This is the story of Lyra. Lyra's chamber was a monument to quiet solitude, carved not by tools but by millennia of water-scoured granite. It lay deep within the mountain's heart. The air was a constant, cool exhalation, and the only sound was the rhythmic whisper of her loom. Its pale, gnarled wood was not just a frame, but a conduit, its fibers sensitive to the faintest emotional vibrations that traveled on the air currents of the world above. Lyra, herself, was a creature of stillness, her movements precise and deliberate, her eyes holding the deep, knowing calm of a still pond. She was the weaver, tasked with giving form to the silent tears of humanity. Her work was with the unspoken, the unseen. She had no use for the loud, public grief of falling tears, which were spent and given to the earth. Lyra sought the tears that never fell, the searing disappointment that a child hid behind a stubborn smile, the corrosive loneliness of a widow who insisted she was fine, the ghost of a shared moment that a loved one could never speak of again. These were the emotions that festered, that calcified within the soul, and Lyra's purpose was to set them free. Each of these silent tears arrived as a single ethereal thread, spun from the very essence of the emotion itself. The regret of a broken oath was a brittle, sharp thread of jagged black. The quiet, simmering rage of injustice was a dull, angry crimson. The unspoken longing for a love that never was shimmered with the painful iridescence of a dying star. Lyra's fingers, impossibly slender and nimble, moved with an instinct born of eons, selecting and weaving these intangible fibers into tapestries of profound, terrible beauty. One day, a thread arrived that was different from all the others. It hummed with a resonance that made the very air in her chamber tremble. It was the color of frost-bitten bluebells, and pulsed with a grief so vast, it felt like a silent scream trapped in the heart of a mountain. Lyra traced its origin with her mind, following its faint trail across oceans and continents to a small, cluttered room in a city of perpetual rain. There an old man sat alone, staring at a blank wall. His shoulders were slumped with a weight he had carried for decades. He never cried. He simply existed within the sorrow. Lyra took the thread and began to weave. She did not weave a tragedy, but a memory. The tapestry grew, stitch by careful stitch, depicting a younger version of the man with bright eyes and a mischievous smile, playing with a small wooden boat in a sun-drenched stream. The boy in the tapestry was his younger brother, who had drowned that day. The old man had replayed that single moment in his mind countless times, always ending with the same suffocating wave of guilt. He had never spoken of it, not to a soul, believing the shame was his alone to bear. As Lyra wove, she did not lessen the sadness. She gave it shape. She added threads of sunlight on the water, the feel of the cool air, the sound of the boy's laughter. She made the memory whole again, not a wound to be hidden, but a story to be told. But as she worked, a second thread arrived, one that pulled against the first. This thread was a venomous green, sharp with anger. It emanated from a young woman in the same city of rain, a woman whose heart was a cage of resentment. She blamed the old man for her family's sorrow, though she was a child at the time and had only heard fragments of the story. She carried a tear of bitterness that she mistook for justice, and it pulsed with a desperate need for a confession that would never come. For the first time in a very long time, Lyra hesitated. Her loom resisted. How could she weave two silent tears that were fundamentally opposed? One was a thread of guilt, the other of blame. To give form to one would risk denying the other. Lyra closed her eyes and extended her consciousness, feeling the old man and the young woman, two souls tethered by a shared sorrow, yet kept apart by their separate, unexpressed tears. She could not weave a story of blame, for it would only turn the guilt into a harder, more impenetrable thing. Instead, she began to weave a new tapestry, a smaller, more intimate one, using the threads of Lyra's own silent tears, the tears she had never shed for the stories she wove, the empathy that was both her gift and her burden. She wove a simple scene, two hands reaching out, not to grasp, but to touch. She wove the unspoken words of forgiveness that the old man had silently wished for, and the unarticulated need for understanding that the young woman yearned for. She wove a bridge, not between them, but between their hearts. And in the city of rain, the young woman walked past the old man's window. For the first time, she saw not the embodiment of her family's sorrow, but a frail, tired man staring at a blank wall. A silent, quiet tear of understanding finally slipped from her eye, a single drop of release that Lyra didn't need to weave, for it had already been given to the earth. In her mountain home, Lyra felt the twin vibrations of acceptance and forgiveness arriving on the breeze. The old man's burden lightened, and the young woman's heart found a path toward peace. And Lyra, the weaver of silent tears, understood that her truest work was not to merely give form to sorrow, but to transform it into a whisper of healing.